Yep. Okay, we're learning the Hadran of Tafshim Mem Vav and the Rambam. We're in Sif Yud Beis Hadran. We started Sif Yud Beis. Let me just review Bekitz at the point. We're going to start again from the last paragraph on the first column of the page, Kolaimar. Okay. Yeah, the Rebbe here explains an amazing point regarding Mashiach. Usually, when we speak about Mashiach, and especially when you look into the Rambam regarding the description about Mashiach, it speaks about what Mashiach is going to do, how Mashiach will cause the Yidden to be elevated to a higher level, and the Shleimus of Torah mitzvahs to have the opportunity to do all Torah mitzvahs. The world will completely change. That's the focus in Perek Yud Beis, where the Rambam speaks about the condition of the world that will be elevated. Here in this paragraph, the Rebbe explains all the details about what Mashiach does in relation to the world is number 2, stage 2. Stage 1 is the existence of Mashiach himself and the arrival of Mashiach himself. Mashiach himself introduces a connection to the very essence of the Eibishter, which is the ultimate concept of Melucha. And that Melucha of Mashiach stems from a very deep place, from Yechidah Shebenefesh, which Mashiach represents. So when we speak about Mashiach, before we speak about what Mashiach accomplishes in the world, we have to speak about Mashiach himself and Bias HaMashiach. We know whenever we speak about Mashiach, we speak about Mashiach and Geula. So here the Rebbe is pointing out there's a big difference. Mashiach represents the essence, the Malchus of Mashiach. Forget about the impact that it has on the world. Adarabah, the world is not significant. It's all about Mashiach himself. He is representing the essence of truth beyond any other existence. Then there is the Pu'ula of Mashiach coming, and then Mesakin, to rectify or to change or to elevate the world. That's the point that Rebbe says. Let's see the words again inside, and then we're going to learn the footnotes that we didn't learn last time.
What's the order?
What's the order? Let's see inside in the words of the Rebbe, and then we'll see the order. So we're going to start from where it says Kolaimar. See it?
That's good.
Yeah. Kolaimar in Yonishal Mashiach. What is the existence of Mashiach himself, and what is the point of Mashiach? It's not just this about correcting, changing, elevating the world. Ela inyan bifnei atzmei. Mashiach is a revelation that's a level on its own, that's removed of everything. And the description in the words of the Rambam regarding who Mashiach is, Melech mi Beis David. He's a king, and he's not just a simple level of kingdom. The concept of kingship as it exists from Beis David, that he's a descendant of David HaMelech. And this is the main point we'll learn today in Ara 37 about what's the significance of the kingdom of Beis David. Now, for Inyan Bias Mashiach, then we have the coming of Mashiach, which means Ba'olam, Mashiach comes in the world. The Kibbutz Nitchi Yisrael. Once Mashiach is confirmed as definitely being Mashiach, so that's the full arrival of Mashiach. So then, then there is the impact and the connection that you see from who Mashiach is into the existence of the world. Okay, Shuhu and Mashiach himself is l'mayla. Mashiach himself is above being an entity that corrects or fixes a world. As an outcome of this, that Mashiach is revealed in the world, he then corrects and fixes or elevates the whole world. The world should also be complete. It should come to its completion. And the ultimate shleimus, as the Rambam concludes. Okay, so what's the point you see here? There's Mashiach, there's the revelation of Mashiach, and as a result of the revelation of Mashiach, Mashiach himself is above the world. So really the revelation of Mashiach is also revealing who Mashiach is, which is above the world. But then, when that revelation is interpreted and received by the existence of the world, so what does it do to the world? It reveals the goodness of the world, and it reveals the purpose of the world, and therefore the world becomes a perfect place, according to the Ratzon of Hashem.
He's giving you an order here. He's telling you it's not that Mashiach is going to come and then we'll figure out who the individual will be. So, the prat
all the way around.
So, it starts with the individual, and from there it flows
into the world. Correct. Okay, let's learn how to 36 we learned today, but let's learn again. 36 and 37 and 38. In 36, the Rebbe explains this in the terminology of Chassidus. Lahar ma yidua. So it's known what it says of Chassidus. Shemoshiach yizkeh lebechinas yechida. Mashiach will merit to have a level of the neshama which is called yechida. Now, Mekive and Shenin Yechida Hu Shemakabelas Mi Yachid. Yechida does not have anything to describe about it. There's nothing you can describe about its existence. The only thing you can describe about it is that it receives from Hashem Himself. That's it. Okay, so that's different than other levels of the neshama. In other levels of the neshama, you could describe something about its nature. It understands, it feels, it's mekabel from the Eibusha, of course. But then it gets sort of brought into its existence how it experiences the Eibusha. But when it comes to Yechida, it's one thing. There's nothing to say about it. It's just the fact that it's makabel from Yachid.
It's like what the Alter Rebbe would always say.
That what?
What the Alter
Ich will mehr nicht als dich allein. Is that expressing Yechida, the expression of the Alter Rebbe? Perhaps.
Okay.
Ki hi rak chukasa liyechida shel olam bavad. This is the desire of the neshama to be one with the only one, with the Eibusha. So lachein, if that's the neshama that Mashiach will merit to have, Mashiach, which is bechinas yechida, hu inyan b'fnei atzmai. In the end of Arad 36. Mashiach, which is the level of Yechida, is a level unto himself. He exists removed of anything else. He doesn't exist in relation to anything. Why? Because Dugmas Yechida Shalaylam. If Mashiach is connected to Hashem, which is the only very true only existence, Mashiach, which is connected to the Eibusha's Yechida, is similar. On that level, you can't say about Mashiach that his inyan is to accomplish something. When something exists, and it's an essential existence for itself, it doesn't have a relation to anything. It exists because it is. This is the essence of truth. It's nothing else. That is who Mashiach is. This is in the language of Chassidus. Now here the Rebbe explains it based on the Lashon of the Rambam. The Rambam refers to Mashiach as the Melech mi Beis David. Hilchas Malachim, next to Arad 37. Hilchas Malachim, Perik Yiralef Halacha Dalet. Now, the Rebbe explains, what does the Rambam mean by this? So, Mipashtus Lashon Rambam Mashma. From the simple words, when you read the Rambam, it seems, She'inyin Zeh Melech mi Beis David, the fact that the Rambam tells us that Mashiach comes from the house of David, Hu lo yirak mitzad ha'avtacha. The reason for this is not only explaining us this lineage, because this is a fulfillment of the promise that the Eibusha promised to David HaMelech, Shleitikaris HaMlucha Mizera David La'ilam, that kingdom will not ever be cut from the lineage or from the descendants of David forever. So where's the fulfillment of that promise? Where's the Melucha of David HaMelech today? The answer is that by Mashiach, we see how the Melucha of the house of David continues, so therefore it comes back even today. And so when the Rambam writes Melech mi Beis David, you may think it's not relevant. Where before? We're 37. Think like, look, page before. Here in this. So when the Rambam writes Melech mi Beis David, it may seem that the point why the Rambam is writing this is because this is factually the thing. That the point there is about the promise to David HaMelech. It's not relevant to identify who Mashiach is, but it's relevant for the fulfillment of that promise. The Rebbe says it doesn't seem like that's what the Rambam is saying this. Ella, rather, the Rambam is saying this is because this is Haggadah the Mashiach. Melech mi Beis David is the title that describes Mashiach accurately. Who is Mashiach? He's a king. It's not Mashiach is not an individual that happens to be a king as well, and happens to be a king that comes from Shevet Yehuda and from the house of David. That is all the real true title for describing who Mashiach is. Which means that there's Melucha, and there's the Melucha from the dynasty of David HaMelech. It's a different kind of Melucha. What is the Pshat? What is unique about this level of Melucha? So the Rebbe explains a unique concept that it says in Chassidus in Ayin Beis, as the Rebbe quotes here. So the explanation for this is based on what's known. Shebemelech Shnei Ifanim. Regarding what a king is, there are two aspects of the existence of a king. Aleph number one, the fact that he's a king. So first of all, in simple terms, what does a king mean? A king is a person that's above everyone else, above the people. He's Melech Menusa is higher. What does it mean that he's higher? In what sense? So that could be explained in two ifanim. Either min ha'am. The fact that he's higher and greater, that stems from the people. The people are the ones that appoint him as a king above them. That's how he becomes a king. Now, it's regarding this that Chazal say the expression "Ein melech b'lo yam." There's no king without the people. Meaning he's not in essence an individual that's a melech, meaning above. He's above because of the people, in relation to the people. It stems from the people. It's one meaning of melucha. That is a lower aspect of melucha. When you talk about actual melucha, when the king is leading, governing the people. So here, on this, the melucha b'payol consists of the fact that there's the people that are relevant and significant to who the king is, and he's the king of this country with these people, and he's leading them. Right? That's in the Melucha B'Payal. And also, as the Rebbe explains over he's being appointed by the people that want an actual leader to lead them. But then there's something much deeper. A true melech is someone that's above the people, not only when he actually is appointed as a king, or when he's actually leading as a king. A true melech is someone that does not have to be appointed. He's a melech, which means being above everyone else in essence. It's just a different level of a soul. He's above in essence all the other people. So that's Beis. The second and deeper aspect of an existence of a king is he doesn't need any approval or any appointing of anybody outside of him at all. Because he's in essence a person that's head and shoulders above everyone else. This level of melucha exists in the very identity of who the person is, not related to the people. And it doesn't consist of the actual melucha b'payil. Even before he's appointed as a king and leading the people, he is a leader in his very essence. Leader, I mean, maybe leader is the wrong word. Over here we're looking for the word of being menusa. He has a quality of life in his nefesh, in his soul, that consists of an essence of life that's beyond the regular life of ordinary people. Ordinary people live life and experience life in relation to all kinds of things that could describe life. You could describe life as eating, you could describe life as learning, you could describe life as exercising, you could describe life in physical terms and spiritual terms, from a mental perspective, from a psychological, you could describe life in many different ways, what it means to live. What's a king? A king is someone that has a nefesh, a soul that experiences essence of life. And therefore he's head and shoulders above. He's a different existence altogether from birth. He doesn't experience life in relation in the definitions of regular life. Emma says that we're bringing you this here when you get to David HaMelech, but even before David HaMelech, the source that's brought for this is by Shaul HaMelech, where it says that he's Mshichma Yomayla Gevayim Mekalam, which literally means head and shoulders above all else, not only physically, which he was, but also representing spiritually who he was, that he's a different caliber of a person, different caliber of a soul. He's be'etzem, removed from everyone else. Right? The melucha, the first aspect of melucha that the Rebbe mentioned here, so usually the first aspect of melucha is a result of the second aspect of melucha, because he's a melech be'etzem, so therefore the people appoint him, and then it comes out in the melucha b'payil. But lav dafka, you could have a person that is leading and he's appointed to be a leader because he has certain talents, certain qualities, certain leadership skills, but it doesn't mean that he's a melech be'etzem. It doesn't mean that melucha stems from him, from his soul. It's that the people see in him certain qualities that they can utilize to lead them. So they appoint him as a melech. So his melucha doesn't stem from the level of his soul, it stems from the people. Shenkin here, though, we're talking about by the real concept of melucha, the way it exists by a melech be'etzem that has nothing to do with the people.
You could add the second one down to first also.
That's also true, correct.
Just technically never
correct.
became a king.
That's also true, yeah.
It does. Is this higher than Hod Malchus?
If what?
Hod Malchus.
Hod Malchus. This is the Shadish of Malchus. This is the real Shadish of what Malchus is. Chassidus, it speaks big arichas about the Sfira of Malchus, especially in Rosh Hashanah Maimarim. This is also discussed in some of the Rosh Hashanah Maimarim, this Indian of Malchus. The Sfira of Malchus B'Payil, and then maybe you can call it Keser Malchus. I have to look inside Ayin Beis now to see exactly what's the term, but I think it's Malchus and Keser Malchus. The Keser of Malchus is the Shirish of Malchus, which is the Melech Be'etzem.
Usually
You know, there's the Rebbe will bring here soon the meaning of Kesem Malchus. Actually, we'll see. So the Rebbe will
usually
bring here.
contrasted Hevit Malchus.
Could be.
Hadron Malchus.
Could be.
So we see that by Shaul HaMelech, that the people demanded from Shmuel HaNovi.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
demanded it.
Yeah,
It
true.
came
It's
from
also
them.
true, right? Yeah, it did, right. But
Not for a good
nevertheless,
reason.
it does say about
He
Shalom
was-
Melech.
yeah, he was still head and shoulders above.
They didn't ask for show.
Right.
They just asked for a melech.
For
They didn't know
a
who they
king.
were asking for.
Understand? But they wanted a king like all the
Okay.
nations around us.
Okay.
But they wanted.
Yeah. Okay, so Rebbe concludes now and says, "V'yesh loymar." So based on this, we could say the mash David zacha b'kesem malchus, the fact that David had the merit that he and all this, the whole dynasty, all his descendants, they merit to have the crown of kingdom eternally. I'm in order 37. You see, footnote 37. Yeah, middle. V'ikram, that's one term that Rambam says, and also v'ikram malchus leDavid. When the Rambam says that the primary concept of kingdom is by David, right? So when the Rambam says those words ikr, you could interpret it superficially that there is Melucha, and then where will Melucha remain more in Kamos? No. The Rebbe says ikr malchus means a completely different quality of kingdom. And v'hu shemalchei beis David yesh gama inyan shelim malchei beis David yesh gama in the melech be'etzem. This is what's unique about Melucha in the house of David, that they are real Melachim. They have the essence, a different kind of level of a soul that's a Melech Be'etzem, that's really Menusa, totally above other people. Or Vapizayuvan, that is, with this we can understand, the Moshiach hu Melech Beis David. Therefore the Rambam, he says, who is Moshiach? Moshiach is a king that comes from the house of David. It's not only explaining a lineage, and it's not only explaining a promise, but it's explaining the true title of Mashiach himself. Because that's Mashiach. Mashiach is an entity of a person that's above everything that exists in the world. And even the goodness that Mashiach brings to the world is also beneath the true essence of who he is. And that's B'chinas Melech Be'etzem. Therefore, he's a Melech in his very essence. She'einu tolui b'am, not dependent on people. And therefore, this is the true Melucha. This is the true Melucha of Mashiach. So here in the other then you have over here in the bottom of the page another two additional ha'aras where the Rebbe explains even more. Where it explains more extensively about this level of Melech Be'etzem. And another thing, this is what he says is a king where you place the crown on his head, and the crown that is fits him. It's sort of befitting to him. You can place a crown on someone's head, even physically. You place the crown on someone's head, and it's not. It looks awkward on him. He's not the person that can carry a crown, or even physically, it doesn't fit him. Now here the Rebbe brings a source again from Nigla in the Gemara for this. This idea that there's a crown that fits Beis David. This is actually something which is used in the Gemara. It says this was what was used to know that this person was the one that had to be appointed to be the king of Beis David. They put the crown on his head. If it fit his head physically, b'derech nes, because it was a crown that went from one to another, to the next generation. If the crown, so it's not one size fits all. But over here, when the crown miraculously fit to his head, that was the sign that he's the chosen one. Right? So based on what the Rebbe is saying here, it's not just some kind of external miracle to prove it to the people. But Keser HaMasai is a sign for the fact that he doesn't only have the lower aspect of Malchus, which is maybe some leadership skills and to be a Melech B'Poel over people, but that the Melucha stems from who he truly is. It stems from the Keser Malchus. He has the Sheidish of Melucha, of the Melech Be'etzem, and therefore the crown, that Keser Malchus, HaMasai, it fit his head. Another thing in the next Shuli Agilion, and on the bottom of the page, the two stars, Regam Hemshachayim Beisham, Reish Perik Kufchol Gimel, the Inyanish of Mashiach, Mashiach, Lebechinas Yechida, Mashiach, his Inyan is that he's zeichet to the level of Yechida, who dugmas Bechinas Melech Be'etzem. So in the Ayin Beis, he connects the 2 points that the Rebbe brings here in the Ha'aras. In Ha'aras 36, the Rebbe brings from one place in Ayin Beis, and another 37, and another place of Ayat's 2 is 2 Prakim in Ayin Beis. It's really a Hemshech there. There's Perik Kuf Chav Beis and then Perik Kuf Chav Gimel. So the Rebbe Rashab connects the 2 points of Yechideh and Melech Be'etzem, which is what Mashiach is all about. Yeah. Okay, one more ha'ara.
Okay.
Ha'ara 38. Ha'ara 38. You're pointing out the word dugmas. You're just getting me to think.
Oh, good.
The word dugmas. It seems like the Rebbe
that's
is
exactly what I want to know.
sort of implying that Yechide and Melech Be'etzem are not necessarily exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's dugmas. It's similar, or it's compared to,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily exactly the same thing. Okay, I have to know exactly how to explain that. Okay, now out of 38, here the Rebbe says that when you look into the way that Rambam explains this, you could see that the Rambam describes it in the order that the Rebbe said inside the Sikha. Because Valpi Masha Kasav B'fnim, Yuvan, we could understand Masha B'tchila Kasav Rambam, Mashiach B'vada. When you look into the Rambam goes in order. He starts off with Im Yamid Melech Mibeis David. A king from the house of David will stand up and he'll start to lead the Yid. Then it says he will do certain things which will then classify him as Cheskas Mashiach. Right? If he's Hagib B'Teira, he's Hagib Mitzvah David, and he's Yochel B'Chemes Hashem, so on. Then the Rambam goes on to say, then he will be Mashiach Vadai after he's Mekabetz Tzidchi Yisrael and he builds the Beis HaMikdash. V'rak la'achrei zeh, then there's the last chelik of Perik Yud Aleph, the Rambam concludes, V'yisakan Esaylam Kulei. Then he brings tikkun to the world. Even though you may think that even in previous stages of his emergence as the personality being Mashiach, even in the stages of Cheskas Mashiach and Vada Mashiach, he should already at that point have an influence on the world. Let's say, for example, what we saw by the Rebbe, that through over 40 years or more, the Rebbe had a very big influence on the entire world, even before you come to a stage of Mashiach Vadai. But there's already a big haschola, at least, of Yisakin Esaylam Kulai. So when the Rambam speaks about Mashiach, Cheskas Mashiach, and Mashiach Vadai, but he doesn't talk about, in that stage, he doesn't talk about the Indian of Yisakin Esaylam. Why not? Why doesn't the Rambam stick in that part of the assumption of him being Mashiach is seeing his influence on the world? And it's factually true. So if it's factually true, shouldn't it be a sign about him being the assumed Mashiach or the definite Mashiach?
How can you become the Mashiach?
If what?
Doesn't the criteria of Cheskas Mashiach has nothing to do with suckiness?
Yeah, so that's the point that I'm saying here. That B'Cheskas Mashiach and B'Vada Mashiach, the Rambam is talking about Mashiach himself, his personality, and finding out who Mashiach is. What that means is not only to get the identity right, the right person. The Rambam is focusing on the existence of Mashiach himself, not in relation to what happens in the world. Doesn't make a difference if he's impacting the world or not. So the Rambam doesn't want to bring up the Inyan of Yisak and Esaylam. It could be that as a Teitzah Memela, it's unavoidable. I mean, Mashiach, even in the earlier stages of his emergence, will have influence on the world. But that's not the point of who Mashiach himself is. Mashiach be'etzem is an Inyan b'fnei atzma. Mashiach is above everything else. So therefore, when the Rambam is trying to identify Mashiach, he just wants to speak about the identity of Mashiach with one thing. Melech mibeis David. The Maila of Mashiach being a king and a king be'etzem. Therefore, the Rambam only speaks about the details that are relevant to Mashiach and the revelation of the level of Mashiach, which is only related to Yidden, because Yidden have a Yechida. So there the Rambam speaks about the relation of Mashiach to the Yidden. As far as Yachav, Chazik Bitka, Yilchem Melchemes Hashem, this is all things that are in relation to Yidden. Then afterwards, the Rambam adds, V'yisaken ha'olam kuleh. We now know that there's Mashiach b'fnei atzmai. Then comes a new inyan, V'yisaken ha'olam kuleh. The impact that Mashiach has in the world. So the way the Rambam says it is you have to read the Rambam, not just superficially. You have to see what the Rambam says on a deeper level. The Rambam is discussing two aspects of the existence of Mashiach. Mashiach is an inyan b'fnei atzmai, and Mashiach in relation to the world. That's what the Rambam divides. It is very meduyik and based on what the Rebbe is saying here in the Sikha. Clear?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Not separate halachas.
Not?
Probably separate halachas.